Welcome, everybody to the Motivate Podcast Show. I'm your host, Rich Wall Street Williams, and on the Motivate Podcast Show, we always say less, but we definitely want to believe for more. Listen. I'm telling you right now, whatever you're doing, stop. If you're driving on a highway, pull alongside the highway. We got a guy. I have a guy that's coming on. This is a guy that's like Haley Comet to me. Haley Comet comes once in most people's lifetime. So listen, I want you to get out your notepad, get out whatever tool that you use to take great notes. You got to lean in because we're going to talk fast, but I want you to listen slow. Got my main man, Mister, the one and only Chris Perry. I was going to give you a nickname, but I couldn't think that fast, man.
Most people just call me CP, man.
See, I knew it. When you get at that level, you get nicknames. The higher you go, the less letters you use, right? So I'm still saying Wall Street. One day I'll be W. So
Hey, you already there, man. You're there.
hey, how you doing, man? So listen, for those that don't know Chris Perry is a top producing realtor, multi-million dollar producer in the DMV area. Chris, I saw on Facebook that you are now like in the top 3% in the US. Is that right?
Yeah, so actually somebody corrected me with that.
Okay.
So I'm actually in the top 1%. So someone told me that, which I didn't know. The top
Uh-huh.
3% is I think about 15 or 16 million in sales. 20 million and above is top 1% in the country. So
Congratulations.
thank you. So top 1% in the country in sales.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. So you got to rebrand, do all that marketing all over again, right?
I know, man. I know. I'm shortchanging myself here, but no, I'm excited. I'm
Yeah,
excited to be
man.
here, man.
Great, great. I'm so glad that you can be on, Chris. And this is like free flowing conversational type. I mean, there's some questions that we have at the end, Chris. If you don't mind, take a little bit of time and let people know how they get in contact with you. They're looking to buy real estate. They're looking to sell real estate. I know you do. You have a coaching and mentoring that you do for agents as well. Let them know at the end on
hmm
how we can get connected. And then what I'll do is on the YouTube channel, I'm going to post that link in the comments so that people can click on it and connect with you again and again and again. And if there's a category higher than 1%, we would like to see you there.
That's coming. That's coming.
Hey man, so let's jump right into it, Chris. I had this whole thing planned down. I sent you some questions a week or so ago. Then I saw you put a video on YouTube
hmm
on how to earn six figures.
hmm
And I said, man, listen, you got my attention.
Yeah.
And it's power pack. For those that don't know, they can see that video on your YouTube channel, maybe 10 or 12 minutes.
hmm
And so what I would like to do, man, is let's just have a conversation in around that conversation of six figures because in real estate, and I've been doing real estate since 2002. So I've seen all sides of it. I was selling real estate when the market crashed,
Yeah.
and timid realtors went home.
Yeah. Yeah. That really separated the good ones from the ones that were kind of in it for the money.
Absolutely, man. And what I like about your content, and we'll get into that content and what you were sharing about six figures and how to track business and knowing your numbers, man. So let's just start right there. Well, actually, let me back up. Let's hear your story. How you started out. I think you were working in Pentagon, and then
hmm
that transition to where you are today. Let's walk through that first.
Yeah. So first and foremost, Rich, thank you for having me.
Yes,
I
sir.
appreciate your time. Um, listen, guys, you need to tap in with Rich. I mean, you are one of the best trainers probably in the that I've ever seen in the world.
Thank
And I
you.
don't just say that like lightly. So you motivate me, man. I tap into your stuff. So I appreciate you having me first and foremost.
Absolutely.
So kind of my story, long story short, I used to work for the federal government. I've been in real estate for 8 years now.
Hmm.
Used to work for the federal government. I did that 2 years part time with real estate. So I was doing in the government, and then I was also doing real estate part time. First year, I didn't sell anything. I wasn't really taking it like a business. I was really kind of operating like it was a hobby, not really a business.
Right.
And second year, I really kind of started kind of somewhat gaining my traction, started going after business, and then business started to actually come.
Mhm.
So I did 3 million my second year, which in income was about, with my split, was about 50 something thousand dollars I did that year,
Mhm.
completely part time. And
Mhm.
so, one thing about what I used to do with the government, um, so where I worked in the government, I couldn't actually have my phone during the day. So anybody knows real estate, listen, this phone is our lifeline. So that's why I tell people that the people that have the excuse that they don't have the time to work their business or whatever that excuse may be, I'm like,
Mhm.
listen, when I was in the government, I had to literally walk outside of my office, get my phone out of a locker, walk outside of the building to check my phone, and I would do that 3 to 4 times a day. So
Uh-huh.
if you are saying that you don't have the time, well, that's an excuse because you
Wow.
you make time for what's important to you,
Yeah.
especially when it comes to your business. So I did 3 million
Mhm.
second year. I had already been planning that I wanted to do this full time. I've been an entrepreneur my most of my life. I'd had businesses since I was like 14 years old. So
Uh-huh.
I had a car washing or car detailing business. So it's funny, you asked my parents, I lived with them, but I never asked them for anything because I always hustled to get money myself.
Right.
Legally, of course, but
Right.
it's a hustle to get money myself. So starting at like 14, I
Uh-huh.
started detailing cars. And the way I got my clientele was I door knocked.
Uh-huh.
Which it's funny now, it's like, man, that was a perfect segue into what I do now. But I
Right.
door knocked and I had a clientele, I had a notebook of probably about 200 people that I would rotate in and out.
Mhm.
So I built that business. I used to cut grass as well too. So again, at 14,
Right.
I was making my own money.
Right.
So that turned into, I always had that entrepreneurial spirit.
Yeah.
And so come graduate college, I went to Morgan State University, the
Uh-huh.
best school in the country. Don't argue with me on that. But I went to Morgan State University on an
Uh-huh.
academic scholarship,
Okay.
graduated with no student loans. Um, and then I just knew working for someone wasn't for me.
Mm.
So kind of looking around landscape of what can I do? Because I have this entrepreneurial itch.
Mhm.
What can I do to scratch that itch that would make me excited?
Mhm.
And so I knew, as cliche as this probably sounds, I knew I liked helping people and I knew I liked looking at houses. I thought they were kind of cool. So
Okay.
I decided to get my real estate license. And at that point in 2000, this was 8 years ago. So this was 2015.
Mhm.
I didn't really know of anyone that looked like me in real estate that
Mm.
was successful.
Mhm.
None. I knew no successful Black real estate agents,
Mm.
like zero. So, but I decided to let me jump into it because I would think I'd be fairly good at sales. Let me jump in and
Right.
sold my first house, and I knew this was exactly what I wanted to do with the rest of my life. And then
Right.
I've been, building the business ever since.
Yeah. So let me tell you, agents have different stories as relates to that first sale. What was it like for you? That first home sold?
Dude, it was I don't know if I can necessarily explain the feeling.
Okay.
It was it's like a high, it's especially being that it wasn't just for the money for me. It was
Mhm.
like, man, this is confirmation. This is what I'm supposed to be doing.
Right. Right.
So, yes, the money was great, and I think I only made about, I don't know, $4,000 or $5,000. It wasn't a huge sale. It was probably about 200,000. This was 8 years ago, 7 years ago.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
the market wasn't inflated the way it is now.
Right.
I think it was maybe like a $200,000 sale, and I
Mhm.
think I made about, after my split, maybe about 4 or 5,000.
Mhm.
And it was like a high to me though, because this was confirmation of, man,
Right.
I feel like this is what God's calling me to do.
Right.
So when you get that confirmation and you
Mhm.
get that first sale, it was unlike anything I've ever experienced. So
Wow.
it was great.
That's awesome, man. And you mentioned about the hustle, and that's segue into one of the things that you mentioned on the video is you said that you got to know your numbers. So you know, and what I'm hearing is like you said you had a book of business, a notebook of like 200 contacts,
Mhm.
and I'm sure that as you went through your process of prospecting, leading into real estate, you knew that you can relate how much money I wanted to make with the prospecting. Am I right when you say know your numbers? Talk a
Correct.
little bit about that.
Yeah. So here's the thing, and I know you know this, Rich, because
Mhm.
you are an amazing sales
Thank
coach.
you.
Most people don't realize in real estate
Hmm.
we're in sales. As weird as that may sound,
Right.
people don't know that. So I
Right.
tell people, and I use the analogy all the time. How often do you jump in a car and just start driving and don't know where you're going to go?
Right.
Now, you may do that if that's like therapeutic to you. Maybe you just want to clear your mind. That's just a hobby of yours.
Hmm.
I'm not talking about that. But if you know specifically you want to go somewhere and you don't know how to get there,
Hmm.
how often do you just, well, I'm gonna just jump in the car and just let's see where it takes me. Maybe I'll get there, maybe I won't.
Right.
But most people treat their business that way. They
Right.
have no idea about their numbers, none, zero. If I were
Hmm.
to ask them, okay, you want to make 100 grand this year,
Hmm.
I think that's every, I wouldn't even say real estate agent, but everybody in sales. I
Hmm.
think that's everybody's kind of goal. Some people have higher goals, and that's great.
Hmm.
But I think the kind of baseline goal most people have is I want to make six figures. Okay, great.
Hmm.
I think that's a great goal and that's very doable.
Hmm.
What does that look like for you? For
Right.
me, with my average price point right around 500,000, I have to sell less homes than someone that may be in, you know, Texas where your or Alabama where you know, your typical home price may be 200,000 or someone in Baltimore where you're
Hmm.
selling $150,000 homes. You have to sell more to hit that goal than
Right.
someone that even like in California, and your average price point is $1 million.
Hmm.
You have to sell way less homes than someone that has. So you have to know your numbers.
Right.
Most people don't know their numbers. They don't know how many contacts they need to make to hit those numbers. They don't know how much, in my case, content they need to put out to hit those
Hmm.
numbers. And it scares me that people want these goals.
Hmm.
Well, the difference between a goal and a dream or hope is a goal has a plan.
Hmm.
Should have a plan. A hope is just, oh, I want to be a millionaire, right? You hear that.
Right.
Well, how are you going to get there? Like,
Right.
it's not just going to magically fall out the sky. So
Right.
you have to have, in my case, when it comes to me, social media, I know exactly how many posts I need to put out on a consistent basis to get a certain amount of people to reach out to me to hit a certain number of sales to do every year. But most people don't ever sit down and think
Hmm.
about those numbers.
Hmm.
So that's why most people never hit their goals because they don't know their numbers.
Right. Right. And that's true, man. I remember years ago when I was doing some training, and I'm asking agents about where you want to be, how do you want to get there, and they were all over the place.
Mhm.
And what I discovered is along the point that you're making is a lot of sales professionals they spend far more time working in their business. That's the prospecting and knocking on doors, and they do working on their business.
Yeah.
And when you work on your business, that's more what you're saying, the strategy. If it's a $500,000 home and the average commission, from what I've seen, average commission like 2.5%.
Hmm.
Would you agree with that? What
Yep.
you're saying, 2.5%.
Hmm.
So you look at the numbers, 500,000, 2.5%. I got a split that's this with my broker. If it's a split, so this is what I'm left with,
Hmm.
and I got to work that number backwards.
Hmm. Yep. Yep. But most people never think of that though.
Yeah.
And they just have the dream of, I want to make X amount of money. But yeah, you never reverse engineer that.
Hmm.
You have to. Like, I don't know how you can ever hit, especially if you have lofty goals like I do. Now,
Hmm.
again, if your goal,
Right.
and hear me, and I hope everybody hears me on this when I say this. Your goals are your goals, right? My goals are to make, millions a year just because
Hmm.
that's my goals and I have other reasons for doing that.
Hmm.
But if your goal is to make 50,000 a year, that's okay. We're
Right.
not knocking your goals. Like, I hope
Right.
people hear that. I'm not knocking your goals. Your goals
Right.
are unique to you.
Hmm.
But you have to know how to get there though. You have to. There's no
Right.
other way to get there besides knowing how to get there and knowing your numbers.
Yeah. So Chris, pretend I'm a new agent. The ink didn't dry yet on my certificate. I got my
Mhm.
license. I chose a broker, and I'm sitting down with you, and you want to have a conversation with me about knowing my numbers. What does that conversation look like?
Yeah, so for me, the first thing that I would talk about is who is your target audience? That's like the mentees that I have or
Hmm.
the people that I coach. Whenever I onboard somebody, we have like a 30 to 30 minutes to an hour consult where I need to know your business. I can't advise you if I don't know what you're looking for.
Sure.
For example, My business is mostly first time home on purpose,
Mhm.
mostly first time home buyers and move up buyers and sellers.
Mhm.
The reason I do that is because I always have a pipeline with first time home buyers. Most of my first time home buyers turn into repeat buyers. So, and I have a special heart for first time home buyers.
Mhm.
I love them. I think I get them. I remember how it was to buy my first home,
Right.
all of those things. So, most of my business is first time home buyers and move up buyers and sellers.
Okay.
So, I need to know how to reach them. You need to know how to reach your target audience, right?
Wow.
So the typical first time home buyer, they need education.
Mhm.
Most of them are either some form of scared, apprehensive, have some kind of anxiety, maybe they've heard horror stories about buying a home. They need education.
Right.
Inversely, if you are looking at, I only want to sell, if you're going to be like, hey, I want to be like the guys on and the females on $1 million listing, that's what I want to sell. That's what I'm focused on. Great. I think that's a great thing. Well, if someone's buying a $10 million home, they don't really need education. They need you to know that you know what the heck you're talking about. They
Right.
need to know that you know what are these Miele appliances in this house?
Mhm.
What's this travertine floor, like those types of things. Like they need to know and they need to see that you understand what it's like for someone buying a $10 million home. So first things first, we're going to talk about who is your target audience.
Mhm.
Most realtors just want to work with any and everybody,
Right.
and you can't. It is
Right.
impossible to work with everybody. You need to get crystal clear on who you're trying to target. Because if you ever look at my Instagram, most of my stuff is like I do luxury as well. So I have clients that
Mhm.
up to like $5 million. I've worked
Mhm.
with that before, but a lot of my clients are first time home buyers.
Mhm.
So I do a lot of education on my Instagram. And I think that's why I've grown things like that. So first things first,
Mhm.
got to know who you're trying to target. You have to. That's how you can reach them.
Mhm.
So that's the first thing that I do. I need to know what you're trying to do with your business, and then
Mhm.
we go from there.
Right. And the with that is connected with I heard one another thing you mentioned on your on the on the video that I saw is attracting that business. You know, from what I understand, a large percentage of your business is from social media, right?
Yep, about 85 to 90% is from social media.
Wow, that's a really big number.
Yeah, it's on
And
purpose. I built my business that way
right.
on purpose.
Yeah, so now, so when you talk about attracting business, knowing your numbers, I know my numbers, and so now I want to track my business. When I track my business, sometimes new agents, in my experience, Chris, is they struggle with: do I do more marketing or do I more prospecting? Right? Prospecting is the proactive behavior. Marketing is the attraction
Mhm.
behavior. How would you see that? You know, again, I'm one of your mentees, and we're having a conversation on attracting business. How are you guiding that conversation?
That's a good question. So for me, I say do both.
Mhm,
You don't have to like social media is most of my business on purpose, but it's not the only way I get business. So
mhm,
I do still get referrals.
mhm,
I do some outbound marketing, things like that. But I focus on social media because I see a bigger picture personally. This is just me.
mhm.
Now I have about 5 different streams of income from my social media alone.
Okay.
So that's why I'm big on social media. So personally, the way I make money from social media is, of course, my real estate business.
Mhm,
I also get paid. Brands reach out, so I have brand partnerships that they pay me thousands of dollars to post for them. So if you see like the post that I have like a paid partnership, they're
mhm.
paying me for that, and
Okay.
they pay very well for that. So I make money from that as
Uh-huh.
well. I have my products, so I have like courses and things that I sell.
Mhm,
I have affiliate marketing that I do with other brands that I've not just brand partnerships, but like affiliate marketing that I do with them. So I help them sell their products too.
mhm,
And then I have my mentorship and my coaching program too. So it's 5 different ways that I make money from my
mhm.
Instagram and TikTok alone.
Okay.
So I see the bigger picture with that.
Mhm,
So that's why I recommend people to really focus on social media. Now
mhm.
you can focus on anything that you want to focus on,
Right.
but I personally, and for those that don't know, like I'm so passionate about social media because it's not going anywhere. Not. It's only going to keep getting bigger. And these brands,
Right.
a lot of these bigger brands are setting aside millions of dollars a year
Yes.
for their marketing budget on social media because they understand
Hmm.
how social media works. I don't know if you've ever seen, and I've bought things from TikTok, but if you've ever seen that hashtag, like TikTok made me buy it,
Yeah. Yeah.
people are spending millions of dollars from what they see on TikTok and Instagram.
Right.
So that's why, again, personally, I recommend social media. But there are a million and one ways that you can get business, and I know you know this, Rich. But
Right.
the old reliable ways of door knocking, cold calling,
Hmm.
mailers,
Hmm.
pop buys, all those things work too, as long as you're consistent. It's just like
Right.
anything. You stay consistent with it.
Hmm.
You pick how you want your business to look.
Right.
Social media is how I wanted my business to look and run.
Hmm.
But you figure out what works for you, and as long as you're consistent with it, it's gonna work.
Right. Right. Yeah. You mentioned about the hashtag TikTok made me buy it. Last night, I was showing my wife a video that I saw on TikTok
Mhm,
for this type. It was a juice drink, and my wife, we like making smoothies and things
mhm,
like that.
mhm.
So I'm excited about the recipe for the smoothie. My wife is like, "What kind of juicer is that?" It was a high end juicer. I'm saying,
Yeah,
but I want you to get the recipe.
yeah.
So guess what I'm doing today? I'm trying to find that juicer.
There you go. It works. It works,
Yeah,
and these companies understand that too.
right. And the lady was doing. She was talking about the ingredients for this hydrated, cucumber cinnamon type smoothie. And
Mhm.
my wife zeroed in on the juicer. So now I'm looking for that juicer today.
I love it. I love it.
So,
That
and when
and
I
it
buy it,
works.
I'm going to post it hashtag TikTok made me buy this
Hey,
juicer.
it works. See? It
It
works.
works. And the other thing, the marketing side to what you're saying about videos is videos are 300 to 400 times more times to be viewed than printed content.
Yeah. Yep.
Right. So you're spot on with that, man, and being intentional and tracking business. Because sometimes people do get stuck in the past. This worked in the past. Let me buy ad. Like there are agents that still buy ads in magazines.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
and I'm thinking this is just me. I'm like the same amount of money that you carved out in the Wall Street Journal for $2,500.
Mhm.
What would happen if you boost a couple of posts
Yeah.
over the next 2 months, right?
Mhm.
Can you boost, right? I'm
Very sparingly.
so, but people could, and I'm just thinking about this from the standpoint of what you're saying is the attraction and the internet and where business is.
Mhm. Yeah.
I was looking at an article a few years ago. When the pandemic hit, Chris, and a number of businesses went out of business. So the Wall Street Journal had an article, and they looked at businesses that went out of business, and the businesses that went out of business is that they went out of business. The number one reason was that they didn't have a contingency plan.
Mm.
They
Mhm.
kept doing business the same way, hoping.
Yeah.
And the businesses that are still alive and thriving today is because they saw it, they pivot, they did something different.
Yeah. That's a good point. And
Right.
and in this industry, you have I I think about the OG real estate agents, right? Where before the internet
Right.
and you had from what they've told me, because I wasn't in
Right.
it back then, but
Right.
the MLS was like a book. And you
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
flip through the book and stuff like that.
It's crazy.
Yeah, but the real estate agents that wouldn't embrace the internet, they started falling behind.
Right.
Then you transition into now social media, the ones that aren't
Hmm.
embracing that, you're losing business to people like myself that are. Now,
Hmm.
the one thing I will say about that though is there will always be a place for print ads
Yes.
as well. And things like that, like the traditional ways I do think
Right.
will always have a place. I'll give you an example. Like I have a friend
Hmm.
of mine, Stacy. She is a realtor out in Vegas.
Hmm.
And she has I want to say she said it was about $10 million listing that she got. She took out an ad in the Los Angeles Times, I think she said it was. And she got a $10 million listing from that. So there is still a place for that.
Sure. Sure.
But I
Absolutely.
agree with you. If you were to take the 2,500, 5,000, whatever it may be that you spend on a print ad and put that in social media, your ROI I think would be a lot bigger.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, when I was selling real estate, I can't imagine, man, having a list book and flipping through the book,
Yeah.
because when you look at, this online community, this online e-commerce business is in real estate, 70-80% of the time that buyer or seller, they're going to the internet first before they pick up the phone and call a realtor.
Yep. Yep, they're gonna look you up. They're gonna look at who you are, what you do, all
Mm-hmm.
of those things. I get clients all the time where they're like, "Oh yeah, like I've been following you for years." And I'm like, "I've never seen you like anything that I put
Right,
out,
right.
comment on anything, but they've been following me for a long time. They follow what I do, the business that I have, all those things. So
Mm-hmm.
that's why it's important to stay consistent and put your stuff out, your content out, because you
Mm-hmm.
never know who's watching you.
Absolutely. So when you do your content, you're putting your content out. Have you found that there are certain times of days that you're getting traction? Sounds like
Mhm.
you're paying attention to analytics like that.
Yeah, I track everything. So
Okay.
so the thing I'll say is social media is a lot of spitballing sometimes.
Mhm.
So when and I say that because you don't always know what's going to go viral or what's going to get a lot of views.
Mhm.
Give you an example. I just had two videos that were very similar to the home tours that I do. Most of these home tours get, I would say, anywhere between 15 to maybe like 20 to 25,000 views.
Mhm.
These two that I posted last week, one just hit 110,000 views
Oh,
today,
wow.
and another hit 124,000 views
Mhm.
today. So it's like you never really know
Right.
what's going to go viral.
Yeah.
But to answer your question, when it comes to time,
Mhm.
um, Instagram actually helps you with that.
Mhm.
They will give you your analytics if you have a business or creator account.
Okay.
So you can look at the times that your followers are the most active, because it'll tell you that. So for
Mhm.
me personally, I like posting at 9 a.m.
Mhm.
and 6 p.m. if I'm going to post twice in a day.
Mhm.
Sometimes I'll play around with that. Sometimes I may post around noon, but it's typically 9 a.m. to 6 p.m., 9 a.m. and 6 p.m.
Mhm.
The reason being is people like to, and I don't know if people understand this, but people like to get a sense of you are posting at a consistent schedule, right? So it's the same as if you like a specific TV show.
Mhm.
They don't come on, hey, we're gonna come on Thursday this week at
Right.
9 p.m. Next week it's gonna be Wednesday at 6 a.m. Like they're very consistent on you know what time the show is gonna come on.
Right. Right.
So people are creatures of habit. People get comfortable when they see that you are consistent
Mhm.
and even subconsciously consistent with time. So if you are consistent with the time that you post, and again, that doesn't mean you have to post every day,
Right.
but if you are consistent with the time, and even if it's just this, hey, I'm going to post between 9 and 10, it doesn't have to be the exact hour, the exact minute of the day every
Mhm.
time. But I think that you should post fairly consistently when it comes to time because people
Mhm.
start to look forward to that. Even at the conference, I don't know if you remember, but I asked the question. I asked people, what time do I post every day? And about 10 people are like 9 a.m. They knew what time
Yeah.
I post because they understand.
Right.
And it's people start to look forward to
Mhm.
what's he going to post today? What's he going to
Yeah.
post tomorrow? So you
Right.
have to be consistent with time.
Yeah, that's good. I was on when you mentioned about the house that went. You had two posts that did over 100,000 views.
Hmm.
Um, I was on vacation. I went down to visit Rob and Evelina. I
Hmm.
also hang out with them for about a week. And I was going for a walk around the lake, and they had these big birds. They were like cranes. I don't, they were like cranes or
Yeah.
something. They were like 4 feet tall, man. So I'm
Hmm.
walking the dog, and then the crane jumps out, and makes this Jurassic Park noise, and I'm videotaped like 10 seconds, and I start laughing. So I turn around, and start running,
Hmm.
and I mean that video got like 25,000 views the first day.
Nice.
And I do stuff intentional, little 60 second to get like 300, 400,000. But
Hmm.
people wanted to see me run from a big bird. So I don't know. Maybe I should do another video like that.
People like being entertained, and keep in mind too.
Okay.
So just a little advice for you here, and anybody watching, because I'm
O-
I'm live on Instagram too. when you think of the lens when it comes to your social media and your content, you always want to think of three lenses that your content should hit.
Mm-hmm.
One of these lenses, and if you're really good, you can hit all three at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
You need to either educate,
Mm-hmm.
you need to entertain, or inspire or motivate.
Mm.
So you entertain people. That's why you got so many views on it. People like those types of things. And it was short. You said it was about 10 seconds. So
Mm-hmm.
it was short and sweet and it was entertaining. So that's a winning formula. If you're educating, keep it short and sweet because that keeps people coming back. And if you inspire or you motivate, you can have that a little bit longer. But people like, because people go through things.
Mm-hmm.
Life can be rough sometimes. So people like seeing that, hey,
Right.
someone else is going through X, Y, and Z, and that helps me to understand that I can go through whatever too.
Okay.
So you hit those three buckets, or at least one of those buckets, you have a much better chance of doing something and getting more views than if you're just putting out, random whatever.
Right. 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 Yeah, that was just interesting. People wanted to see me run from the
Yeah,
crane birds.
you
So,
entertained them, so they
I
kept
mean,
them.
I wasn't scared. I was protecting the dog. That's why I was running. So,
I would have been scared, so I get it. Like, you don't gotta explain to me.
'cause I'm a grown doggone man running from some birds.
I would have ran too, so I get it.
Hey,
Don't
so
worry.
you said know your numbers,
Yep.
right?
Mhm.
Attract business, and is there another piece you think in this six figure, because this whole conversation, and I love it, man. You're really dropping some nuggets. Is about six figures.
Mhm.
And now, if before you get to that, let me just mention this for those that didn't see the video yet, and it's another thing that caught my attention, Chris. You talked about the six figures or 100,000 for a
Yep.
couple of years, and then you went to the three or 400,000 for a couple of years,
Yep.
and I'm the guy that's on the other side. I know the numbers in terms of growth and what that looks like, and
Mhm.
you're killing it. I mean, it's not like you have a team of 20 people, unless you have a team of 20 people. I don't know about it.
No, it's just me.
I just wanted you to say that part. It's just him. So listen. That's why I'm saying this guy is amazing, because when you look at the success, Chris, and I'm on the outside looking in on your success. I'm looking at it from the standpoint of being in real estate from 2000 since 2002, understanding numbers, and to do what you do is really extraordinary, Chris. To be doing 400,000 and being the only one doing it, it's
Yeah.
amazing, man. Hats off to you, man. So your formula works. So you got to know the numbers, track the business, and what will be another piece that you want to add for this six figure in real estate?
Yeah, I mean, I think honestly the biggest thing is the mental, a lot of it. I think people put this
Hmm.
I know like people when they come up to me, they're like, "Oh my gosh, you do 20 million a year. That's incredible. Like, how do you do it?" And a lot of it is mental, right? So when you tell yourself that you can do 20 million a year, you know, you can make transparently, you can make over $500,000 a year
Hmm.
selling real estate.
Hmm.
You can have brands pay you thousands of dollars for posts. You
Hmm.
can do these things. Like, I think the biggest thing, and just like you put there, mindset,
Hmm.
once you break the mental barriers down that I can't do this, like
Hmm.
this figure 100,000 is like some huge number that I can't do.
Wow.
I do more than that in the first quarter of every year.
Right.
And that's not to brag, but that's to say, like, take the mental block down. Like,
Right.
if
Right.
I can do that, I am no more special, incredible, whatever adjective that you want to use about yourself.
Right.
I know more than that than anybody else. I just know what I want. I work hard and I'm consistent.
Hmm.
That's it. I am
Hmm.
not more special than you. Honestly, I don't think I'm really all that smart. Honestly, I'm not like the best looking guy. It's like I don't think I'm the best, and I hope people hear me when I say this. I think I'm great, but I'm not like, oh my
Right.
gosh, I'm the best. I'm better than anybody. It's just I figured out what worked for me.
Hmm.
I stayed consistent.
Yeah.
I got the right mindset, and I put the work in.
Right.
That's it. It's no more, no less than that.
Hmm.
So, and that's with anybody listening, whether it's Instagram or on the podcast, like take the mental block down.
Yeah.
If you want to make six figures in this, it's doable. You want to make seven figures. I know agents that are blowing my income out the water. you can do that.
Right.
Take the mental block down, get the right mindset, put the work in, and you'll be there.
All
It's
right.
not that hard.
Yeah.
It
So,
isn't.
and then what what I read a statement, um, heard a statement a few weeks ago. The
Mhm.
guy was talking about mindset, and he was talking about how people get stuck in a rut of doing something, and they know it's not working, but they still do it. So he said most people will work hard at something that they know that it won't work, so they don't have to work hard at learning
Mm.
and doing something that will work.
Yeah, yep. I was there myself too, and
Hmm.
and I talk about I'm being very transparent here. I talk about taking the mental barrier down, and
Hmm.
for me, I'm doing the same thing when it comes to cracking like the seven figure because I've been making six figures, like high six figures for years,
Hmm.
but cracking that seven figure income, that's another mental barrier that you have to take down.
Hmm.
So for me, I'm preaching to myself here. Mindset's everything.
Yeah.
Put the
Right.
mental block down and you can get there. And I think the biggest thing for most people is not that they feel like, and maybe people would agree with me with
Hmm.
this. This is how I feel typically is that we know that we can get there. It's just like, do you want, like you said, do you want to actually put the work in to get there?
Hmm.
So, because you're gonna have to sacrifice something. And
Right.
in a quote that I live by now is
Wow.
you're gonna either so time's gonna pass, right? So you're either going to sacrifice the time to be exactly where you are,
Hmm.
or you're gonna sacrifice the time to go after what you want. Time's gonna pass regardless. So if
Hmm.
you want whatever it is that you want in life, and I know we're talking six figures here, why not go for it?
Right.
Because the time's gonna pass anyway. Eric
Right.
Thomas said this, and I don't want to talk too much, but Eric Thomas said this
No,
to
that's
me.
fine.
I was listening to him. He said, the reality is we're all gonna die, right?
Right.
None of us are getting out of life alive. So why do we keep living like we're going to live again or get a do-over at this?
Hmm.
If there's something that you want, and this is what I live by now, there's something that you want, go for it.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, we're all gonna end up in the same place.
Right.
So you gotta go for this conversation, the six figures that you want, you gotta go for it
Yeah.
because you can do it. It's
Right.
doable for you. For everybody listening, it's doable for you.
Yeah, it's doable. It's knowing your numbers, right? Taking some time to understand how to track the business, and then having that mental piece in place.
Yeah.
Having that mindset. I like telling new agents when I do training on occasion with new agents, and one of the things I start out with, hey, I am the CEO of a multi-million real estate company. Have them say, because think about this as a new realtor, you if your average sale price is 350,000, and you list three 350, you're in the millionaire status.
Yeah.
At
Yeah.
least by by inventory wise. But so, man, I appreciate it, Chris, for you carving out some time, man. I know you have a lot going on. What are some ways that people can connect with you offline?
Yeah, so most people just keep up with me on Instagram. I'm Instagram live right now.
Okay.
My Instagram is just my first and last name, real estate. So Chris Perry, ChrisPerry, real estate.
Hmm.
You can see all of my deals that I have going on, all my content. Also on TikTok, same Chris Perry Real Estate.
Hmm.
Those are typically the two ways people keep up with me. But just like you said, I do have courses. So
Hmm.
I have built most of my following and my business from video. I
Hmm.
have, 61,000 followers on Instagram, have
Hmm.
26,000 on TikTok. So between
Hmm.
both of those, that's about 87,000 people that follow me there.
Hmm.
Um, and it's all from video. So I have courses that teach you literally step by step of how I do my videos, how I put them out, how I build my following, and the people that actually take the course,
Hmm.
recorded course, you get the file, you can watch it literally every day if you want to.
Hmm.
But the people that have taken my course and really commit to being consistent with it, I've probably gotten 50 people reach out to me that have taken the course, took it
Hmm.
seriously,
Mhm.
and really did what I teach, and they come back and say, "I'm getting business from it.
Wow.
They're reaching out to me." I actually have a buddy of mine that took it and used it for YouTube, and now he has thousands of subscribers on YouTube.
Mhm.
Like, my YouTube channel is Chris Perry, Real Estate as well,
Mhm.
and I've grown about 600 subscribers in a month
Wow.
from on YouTube from what I teach on there. So, you have a business, you're a real estate agent, whatever it is, it's not just for realtors, but you
Right.
wanna grow on social media, I'm your guy, I can help you with that. I got courses for you, and I also have a mentorship program too. I keep it very small just because I'm very busy with everything going on, but
Right, right.
I do all of that, and I literally just I love what I do, and hopefully that comes out.
Yeah, man, it's evidence that you love what you do. So people that are looking to buy a house, people that are looking to sell their house,
Mhm.
and agents that are looking to take their business to the next level, you need to connect with CP.
Yes, you
That sounds
do.
like that old Kurt Franklin, GP, are you with me?
I love it. I
Yeah.
love it.
Hey, man, I appreciate it. Hey, thank you. So I'm Rich Wall Street Williams on the Motivate Podcast Show. On the Motivate Podcast Show, man, we always say less, but we definitely want to believe for more. I'll see you. Let's get it.